Hello and welcome to Freedom Fest TV. I'm Gina Carr, the producer of Freedom Fest TV, and I'm delighted that you could join us today. We have an exciting show planned for you, and I just can't wait to learn from this guest. Before we get there, though, let me just tell you that Freedom Fest is going to start in just a few days. It's going to be starting on July 13th for this year, for 2016. And we have an incredible program planned for you. You can find out all about it at freedomfest.com. Speakers, events, panels. We just added a new panel yesterday in light of the Brexit, the Britain exiting from the EU. And so we're going to have some experts that will be talking about, just what that will mean for your investments, for the global economy. It's going to be fantastic. And that's part of the wonderful world of Freedom Fest, is that we can respond quickly to things as they happen. Last year, Donald Trump had just announced that he was going to run for president. So just a week or two later, we had Freedom Fest and we got here. So you know what's going to happen, but respond to these urgencies and things that are going on so that we can keep you informed. With that, at freedomfest.com, if you enter the code FFTV, all caps, you get $100 off your registration. So that's a really good thing. To get us started today, we are going to be hosted by the MC of Freedom Fest for 2016, and that is the wonderful Terry Brock, who is a Hall of Fame speaker from the National Speakers Association. He speaks all around the world about marketing and technology. He's the former chief enterprise blogger of Skype and the former editor-in-chief of AT&T's Big Blog. He's just an all-around whiz kid, techno marvel. Terry, why don't you take it away?
Well, thank you very much, Gina. It is great to be here, and welcome to all of you joining us either live or recording. We're glad that you can be here with us. And today, I am so excited to have our guest on today. He's on the screen right there, and his name is Dre Baldwin. Dre, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Terry and Gina. I'm excited to be here.
It's going to be great. Matter of fact, everyone here, look, I got his intro here. This guy has done so much. He is a professional speaker and a former professional basketball player. And so I got a real affinity for this guy already as a professional speaker, like I am as well. And since his first contract in September 2005, he has signed and played 5 different teams worldwide, professional basketball. It's amazing. And he's been to countries like, get a load of this, Lithuania, Mexico, Germany, England, Croatia, Montenegro, and these were like in the former Yugoslavia. He plays chess, did that a lot when he was a kid, and speaks on mental toughness, confidence, and discipline. He's from Philadelphia and now a fellow Floridian with me. I'm here in Orlando. He's down in the Miami area. And he is a person who is an entrepreneur, a best-selling author, a fellow professional speaker, again, like me. He's scheduled to speak here at Freedom Fest in just a few days. Going to be talking about social media, so we're going to have him share some of that. He graduated from the Pennsylvania State University, Penn State in Altoona, with a bachelor's degree in business management and marketing. So once again, Dre, you and I have a lot in common on these things. But get this, listen to these stats. This is important. On YouTube, he has 100,000 subscribers and going up every day. He's got 3 books on mental game, and you go over to dreallday.com. That's D-R-E all day, A-L-L-D-A-Y. dreallday.com is his address, all as one word. And you can see that. As a speaker, he's done 3 TED Talks on topics that are ranging on confidence. I was watching some of them and preparing for this. Really good stuff. I encourage you to write that down and go over and take a peek at it. And his style is dynamic, enthusiastic, and backed up with solid results. He is one incredible guy. Dre, how do you do it all? That's amazing.
Well, first of all, thank you. That's a hell of an introduction. I didn't even know all that stuff about myself. I don't know who you got that from, but it was actually very good. How do I do it all? Every single day is just a discipline. Every day I get up and go to work. But to me, as you probably heard people say before, it doesn't really feel like work. I'm doing what I enjoy doing in a way that I enjoy doing it. And I get the benefit of knowing that I'm helping other people at the same time helping myself.
Yeah, I like that. And as we look at what you're doing, you've got a great body of work. And again, those of you that are watching this, I encourage you to get over there and take a peek at it. You will be better off because you did it and you invested a few moments. Get in there and watch through the videos. They're really good. But Dre, one of the things you talk about is confidence, which I think a lot of people really want to get more of. They know they need to get it. But I'm going to ask you how you define confidence and then what we need to do, in your opinion, to attract that.
Well, the way I define confidence is simply in belief, as belief. Confidence is a belief in yourself, belief in someone else, belief in something to be true, something that is accepted as real. And in order to raise a person's confidence, number one thing we had to do is break down all the misconceptions that people have about confidence. And actually, my most recent TED Talk was in Las Vegas at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, on the topic of too much confidence being an issue that slows a lot of people down from reaching their highest level of confidence. The video is actually not even out yet. But one of the main things is that a lot of people, they know they want to have more confidence, but the thing that stops them from getting there is saying, well, I don't want to have too much confidence. I don't want to be overconfident. I don't want to be arrogant. I don't want people to think that I'm cocky or that I think I'm better than everybody else. So that's what stops them from getting it. It is what they think is true that's not actually true. It's similar to, I was talking to a group of seventh graders, 7th and 8th graders, maybe about 2-3 months ago. And we were asking them about what do they want to be professionally, what they want to do for a living. And one of the kids spoke up and said, well, I want to start a business and I want to make, a certain amount of money, but I don't want to make too much money. I want to make good money, but I don't want to make too much money. And we asked him, why do you not want to make too much money? He said, well, man, because if you make too much money, mine's just a 12-year-old. If you make too much money, then people are going to try to come after you. People are going to want to sue you. People are not going to like you. People are going to think that you're too far ahead of them if you make too much money. So I just want to make a good amount, but not too much. And all the other kids started to agree with him. And I'm thinking to myself, where are they even getting this from? They can't have learned this themselves by their experiences with money, because most of them don't have a job. It's been taught to them. It's been taught to them over and over again by people that they know, love, and trust. But as 12-year-olds, they haven't learned how to separate the message from the messenger. But as 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds and 60-year-olds, we need to know better. But unfortunately, a lot of us think the same way that those 12-year-olds do when it comes to confidence.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that we see that pervasive in many societies and unfortunately in the United States. One of the things that we talk about at Freedom Fest, it's a place of gathering of people with free minds and thinking about voluntary cooperation, working with each other, and the idea of making too much money. I don't understand those terms. Too much money just does not go together, because the thing is, I think Jim Rohn said it really well years ago. He said you should try to become a millionaire if you're not so much that you get $1 million, but because of the skills you acquire when you're working toward that. Now, when you get the $1 million, if you say, hey, I don't want all this money, fine. There's wonderful charities out there you can give that to and work with them. Where do you think that thinking comes from, that it's too much? It's kind of a squishy thing. They never tell us it's this number of dollars. Where do you think that thinking comes from that the children are hearing about and that many adults believe?
Well, it gets taught to them. It gets taught to them as youth. And I think I've heard, I don't remember what the number is, but I think by age 7, I think I heard someone give an example. So a preacher said this. He said, you give me any child from the time that they're born up to age 7, and I will put ideas in their brain that will be so hardwired into them that no amount of teaching, no amount of evidence or proof is going to change how they think about these things for the rest of their lives. So in those beginning years, the things that are taught to them are the things that stick with them for the rest of their lives. And unfortunately, a lot of young children grow up to be young adults and adults, and they never actually seek anything that could possibly challenge their beliefs. Because if you believe something to be true, why would you seek something that might be going against it? Because you already know it's true. So you never even seek the information. Me personally, I was lucky enough to, by my parents, I was taught some things that I ended up finding out were not correct. And maybe we'll get to that in a moment. But one thing that my parents did teach me, my mother's an educator. She had my sister and I reading books from a very, very, very young age. Always reading. So I had a love for reading, writing. And that led me to, I'm the type of person who will walk into a bookstore back when bookstores was the only place to get a book. And I would just wander through the shelves and just look at the spines and find a book that looked interesting, and I would buy it and I would read it. And that's how I started to find out about things as far as the money goes. I stumbled into a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad when I was a sophomore in college. And that changed my whole thinking about things. And it opened my mind to say, you know what are some other things that I thought was true that's not actually true?
Yeah, that makes sense. So you read a lot. And what are some of the greatest books you've read that have helped you?
Wow, greatest books. My favorite of all time is The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene.
Fabulous book.
Yes.
Have you read his other books, by the way?
Yeah, I read everything he puts out the day that it comes out.
Same here.
Robert Greene fan.
Yeah, the 50th Law, I think, is also exceptionally good.
Yes, of course. The 50 Cent.
I love that one. And then 33 Strategies of War, and that really, really good stuff. And his mastery is good. He's got a new one coming out as well. But that's Robert Greene, for those of you that are taking notes, and that's Greene, Robert Greene. So we got the 48 Laws of Power from him. What other books?
Another book is called Relentless. It's by Tim Grover. Have you heard of it? Terry?
I heard of that. I have not read that one yet.
Well, Tim Grover was Michael Jordan's personal trainer during his entire career. He was also trainer to Dwayne Wade and Kobe Bryant. So his book is all about the mindset.
Writing that down.
How Michael to be Michael, Kobe to be Kobe, and anyone to be relentless. It's not a basketball book. It is a mindset book. It's all about the discipline, the mental toughness that allows someone to be that dominant person, that leader, that person out front. So that's another book. Man, I can give you so many. I'll go Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins, which is kind of
very good.
A Bible of personal development because it covers every single area. The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. Everyone knows Napoleon for Think and Grow Rich, but they don't know about the Law of Success, which actually came out before Think and Grow Rich. And it's a similar type of book, but I recommend people to read both. And the Law of Success is actually my favorite because he lays everything out. Similar to Tony Robbins, but they have completely different voices. Whereas Tony is very conversational and, I'll come sit with you and talk with you and you can feel his energy. Napoleon Hill is more, he's like a lecturer. He stands behind that podium and he lectures you, but he knows his stuff and he knows it so well. That's why his message has lived on almost 100 years after he wrote it.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. The Laws of Success, because it's a little bit larger book than Think and Grow Rich. Got a lot more in there and really good. And I think particularly you'll get a lot of insight into Napoleon Hill. And by the way, speaking of that, right after he wrote Think and Grow Rich, the next year he wrote Outwitting the Devil. Have you read that one?
I have. I read it.
What do you think of that?
That book was a wow book. I mean, it was so many times just in the first 2 hours of reading the book, I just had to put the book down and say, how did he see these things in 1938 that are still happening today? Some of the things that he said, I could go on Twitter. It applies directly to social media, and there was no social media back then. They didn't even have, I don't even know if they had TVs or phones back then. But the things that he was saying was so clairvoyant into the way that we still live now as human beings. And what that told me was that the issues is not social media, is not technology, is not money, is the way that people think. Because the same things he pointed out then are the same problems that people have now.
Yep, absolutely. Well, you're practicing what you preach. And as I looked at your material, I just love it. I'm resonating with so much of that. And it's not surprising that you have read so many good books there. And those of you that are watching this, read between the lines, listen between the lines on this. Reading books. Really important. You look at people that are doing well, they tend to read a lot. I like the way that Brian Tracy talks about it. He says, you look at people that are poor and they often will have large screen TVs. Look at people that are rich, they have large libraries.
Like yours.
And so you want to make sure you get more and more books around you. One of the things I'm doing lately is I really love, matter of fact, we're here in my study. I've got most of my books now on this. This is my iPad. And I like the Kindle books, a Kindle on my iPad. And I find that way I can carry literally hundreds of books with me most anywhere I go. It's not a question. Are you more of an ebook or paper book reader?
I'm an ebook. Everything's on my phone. The phone and iPad, same as you. So all my books are right here.
Damn, you and I must be brothers. I'm serious. I think we are. Well, as we look at the kind of things that are happening in growth, you also speak about social media. Now, we know you're going to speak about social media at Freedom Fest, which is coming up, and you're going to give us a lot of information. We could probably go for 13, 14 hours or longer on social media and all that. But if we look at, say, the big picture of what's happening right now, it's changing rapidly. I speak about social media. Gina Carr is a co-author of mine, a book we wrote on social media, and we see a lot happening. What do you see happening right now, or some of the current trends that look like they're growing and getting stronger all the time in social media today?
Well, number one trend, Terry, is being able to get it immediately, being able to hear what people are saying and see what they're doing immediately, such as Blab or Meerkat or Periscope, and of course, Snapchat. And the reason you know that is because now you see all the other platforms who built a big base of users in other ways, such as Facebook, such as YouTube. Now they want to get into the live streaming or immediacy kind of game as well. So being able to share what you're doing immediately in the moment so people can follow along as you do it, it's less structured, it's less, less prepared for. With Snapchat, I don't prepare, I don't put on any makeup, I don't do anything. I just turn the camera on and I just go and say what I have to say. I know it's a little bit different for us gentlemen, Terry, than it is for the ladies. But with something like Snapchat, it's just immediate. Something that's happening in the moment. You got to share it right now as it's happening. You can't prepare for it. You can't schedule it. You just got to do it. That's the number one.
I think that's something we're seeing change in our world. It's like right now we're using video, and it's great to do it, but it's like we're right. Are we, by the way, if you don't mind my asking, are you at your home right now?
Yes.
Yeah, so, and I am too. This is my personal home study, and I'm here right now. And you think about that, the world can see what's going on.
Right.
And you know, think, whoa, that's got some good, that it's really nice, but also, hey, there could be some challenges there too. So we got to watch out for that. But I think that there's a lot to be said. Interesting, you talk about women versus men. Women, I find, often want to make sure they're looking right, and men probably could learn a little bit from that. It was interesting when I worked with Skype as their chief enterprise blogger. Remember, we were up in New York once for a meeting. We had a lot of bloggers come in from all over the world, and I mean, we're all different countries, different places. There was one group that said, yeah, let's just get on, we can talk to each other. Another group of people were saying, wait a minute, I don't want to go on if I haven't had time to really fix myself up. Guess which gender was saying, I want to make sure I get fixed up first?
I'm guessing those are the females.
Yeah, that's right. It was internationally too. So it's like, it doesn't matter. But I think we can learn a lot, that we have to say, okay, this is the way the world is working. And we're doing it. Now you work a lot with programs like Periscope, and you work with Snapchat, et cetera. One of the things I have not gotten into is Snapchat. I just haven't seen it. But talk to me about the business benefits of Snapchat and how people can leverage Snapchat for business.
Well, the number one thing I always tell people when it comes to social media and business, because sometimes with all these platforms that are out, someone will always raise their hand and say, well, with all of these choices, which platform should I be on? Which one should I use the most? And I just reverse engineer the entire thing. First of all, you're a business person. A business means exchange of resources between what? People. So where you need to be, where the people are, people who can exchange their resources for your resources. So where are people? They're on all of them. They're on Snapchat, they're on Facebook, they're on Periscope, they're on Twitter. They're on all these different platforms. So you need to find a platform that you're comfortable using, that you will use. You don't have to remember something that you'll actually use, that you're comfortable with, and start using it so that people can see who you are, see what you're doing, and they can receive your message. And if you happen to not be comfortable with that, listen, there are plenty of 14-year-olds who will work for $20 a week and do it for you. All you have to do is go find them.
Exactly. I often like to say, when people say, well, how am I going to get all this done? I don't know how to do it, and I need somebody to teach me and all this. I go, this is why God invented high school kids.
Right.
They're out there, they're wonderful, and you're helping them to learn skills of work, to earn money. You're really helping them, and you're helping yourself too, because you can give them some money. They are able to use it, but you're also able to get a lot more done that way. So, and I have to agree with you. I think, rather than saying, well, I'm not going to, or I'm going to only get on this one, or I don't want to do anything else, I think you got to look at, where are your customers? That's the platform where you should be. Exactly. If you can find that most of your customers live on the Oogie Boogie thing, whatever Oogie Boogie might be, and you say, oh man, that's where they are. Well, you need to be there on that Oogie Boogie platform, get out there and go for it. Where have you seen the most success for you in the work that you've done? Mm-hmm. And because you're on several different channels, several different platforms with it, if you had to rank them like in 1, 2, or 3, what has been the most beneficial use of your time, money, and energy? Which platforms stand out for you?
Well, number one has to be YouTube. I started on YouTube in 2006, back when I went to a professional basketball exposure camp. And for those who don't know what that is basically like a job fair, but for athletes. And instead of wearing a suit and handing out a resume, you actually put on your basketball equipment and you play your sport in front of the decision makers who can sign you to a contract. I played well at that event. It was actually in Orlando. It was at Lake Brantley High School. You familiar with Lake Brantley? And I had the film on a VHS tape. I don't know if everyone here remembers VHS tapes, but I had it on a VHS.
Lincoln used some of those, didn't he? Yeah.
Absolutely. So I got that transferred onto a CD, put it on this new website called YouTube. YouTube debuted, I think, in 2005. Put it on the site in 2006, only for my safekeeping. Some people found it, started looking at it, asking me questions in the comments, and the rest is history. So definitely YouTube. I've used it a lot. I've gained, a bulk of my fan base came from YouTube. A lot of my people who know me, like brand deals that I've done with a lot of different companies, have come through my YouTube videos. So I would have to rank YouTube number 1. Secondly, I don't even know who would be number 2. I would have maybe the live streaming. Because when I'm live streaming, one of the things that I do best, Terry, is not just speak to the audience, but respond to what the audience is asking me. So when they ask me a question, I can respond to that question. And that's how.
What platform do you use for live streaming?
What'd you say?
What platform do you use for live streaming?
I've used Facebook. I use Periscope most often now. I use Periscope almost every single day. I want to do Facebook more often. The challenge is Am I going to do the exact same one for Facebook that I just did for Periscope? They need to make an app where I can do both at the same time. Somebody make that app, I'll buy it.
Yeah. What would you see of the possibilities of that's something that Gina and I have talked about of having two smartphones. One is Periscope, one is Facebook, and doing those live. What would you see the pros and cons of that?
I don't see any cons. The only con is you have to go get another phone. Yeah. Other than that, if you already have it, I actually had two phones, but I don't always carry the other phone with me. It's not a habit of me just carrying that phone because the only thing I would use it for is to do the live streams. Maybe when I'm home, if I'm at home and I have the Wi-Fi, I can do it. But I haven't made a habit of carrying both with me yet.
Yeah, not yet. That's a possibility, but that's good. I appreciate your insights on that. Tell us about Periscope. Periscope is something for those that, first of all, tell us what it is for those that might not know about it. I've used Periscope, enjoy it, and a lot. Tell us what it is and some of the benefits that you've seen from using Periscope.
Well, what Periscope is a live streaming platform similar to what we're doing here on Blab that you can use on a mobile phone, similar to Blab, and is only one person. So it's not one person, but one feed, basically.
Yeah, one.
Here on Blab, there can be 4 different people in 4 independent locations all talking at the same time. But on Periscope, there's only one location. So if you can get 10 people on your camera, you get 10, or it can just be you as a one person. So what I do is get on Periscope. I already have the idea of pretty much what I'm going to talk about. So I'll talk about a certain topic, share a couple actionable points people can take away from it. Then I take questions. And I've been doing that over and over and over again. And sometimes I do just an open Q&A. Sometimes maybe if I'm at an event, I'll just do a live stream from the event so people can see what's going on. And the number one thing with Periscope for me has been answering questions, interacting with my audience. And the challenge with Periscope is the question comes up and it goes away very quickly. So you have about 5 to 10 seconds to read the question, say it out loud so everyone knows what you're responding to, and then respond to it before the next question comes up and goes away. So you got to be quick on your feet with the not only reading it, but also responding to it. And I'm really good at that. That's something that I've just gotten good at, just from responding to so many comments and questions over the last 10 plus years. And through that, I've been able to get coaching clients, people who want to buy my programs, people who are finding out about me. Maybe they just stumble into me because I'm live on Periscope and they just click on it and say, who is this guy? They like what I'm talking about. So maybe they come to my website, get my first book for free. So people have found me through Periscope. Every platform I've met people or people have met me who otherwise would never have known about me. So I like being in as many places as possible.
Yeah, very good point. You're watching Freedom Fest TV, and we're getting a chance to talk with the amazing Dre Baldwin, who is a genius in social media and life and how to get ahead. And this is one of those interviews where, gee, I wish it could go for like a few days rather than just a short time. But it's given us a lot of good information. And you mentioned Periscope and talking about one of the things I did was last year at Freedom Fest, we had Donald Trump there. Now, Donald Trump, of course, is a controversial person running for president, of course, and people tend to go one way or the other. I wanted to just hear him with no interruption, so I did a Periscope of him. Just got my iPhone right there, picked it up, and had my iPhone here, got it ready to go, made sure that I had whatever he was saying, wanted to listen to it uninterrupted, no edits, and let the person talk. And that's something you can do. If you're familiar with Periscope, you start using it more, I would recommend. And if you're not familiar with it, I would say it's important to get to know it. It has a lot of potential and a lot of good things. But also, as we look at Facebook Live coming on stronger than ever now, what are your thoughts about Facebook Live, and what do you see are some of the strong strengths that we have with Facebook Live?
Well, number one strength of Facebook over even something like a YouTube or a Periscope or even a Blab is that to sign up for Facebook, for the most part, people have to use their actual identity, who they really are. You can't make up a screen name for Facebook. It has to actually be really you. So you get a lot more detailed data on Facebook, and it's a lot easier to target because a lot of people should know by now that you can't get any traction on Facebook these days without putting some money behind what you're putting out. If you want people to see your posts, you want people to come to your page, you want people to like it, even if they're already following you or following your page, if you don't put any advertising money behind a post that you put out, there are people who are already liked your page who will never even know that that post came out if they only look at their news feed. So Facebook has pretty much, they've set that up. They have a monopoly on all these people. So they said, okay, now you got to spend money for the people who already decided, they already agreed to see you, to actually see you, you got to spend money. So number one thing I would say, well, that's a benefit for Facebook, but for the actual users such as myself or yourself, Terry, is that you know exactly who these people are and you can target specifically who you want. So So if you want 18 and 19-year-old males who are from Pine Bluff, Missouri, who also like basketball and reading books, you can target them specifically and get that specific groups. You can get very detailed as to who you're targeting your messages to through Facebook. I think that's the #1 benefit.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I think that's one of the key benefits of using social media, using Facebook, is the targeting. I think it was a famous quote that's been attributed to Woolworth and also to, I think, J.C. Penney, but someone saying, and I spend all this money on advertising and half of it is wasted. I just don't know which half is wasted because they're just blasting it out all over. It's the old pray and spray method. You know, you pray that something might work and you just spray and try to blast everyone. That's the word they use, blast it out there. And when I'm talking to audiences, I'll say, how many of you like to be blasted upon? You know, anyone? Nobody. We don't want that. Well, why would you do that to others then? Right. Why would you blast? But instead, you encourage people. You get to know them. And like you said, one of the strongest features of Facebook is you can really pinpoint age groups, geographical interest groups, and you're seeing what's going on. That's what Facebook wants. And that's where their real power comes, because they know not only what your age is and your sex and other things like that. That's nice to know. But even better is your psychographics of what you like, what you don't like, the kind of groups that you hang around. And if we see people that have these kind of psychographics tend to like this product, now we know we can find others that have those same psychographics and put them up there. That's a real good thing to do that. What would you recommend to someone that says, gee, I need to know more about Facebook advertising. I need to know more about this kind of thing. What would be a good source for them to go to, Dre?
I don't know any one particular person who would be a good source, but the great thing about the world we live in today is Amazon's a great source. Google is a great source. The iBookstore is a great source. So go there and buy, invest $30 in 5 books on Facebook advertising. Read all of them, and you're going to get something that you can use there. You can go online and find someone who's running ads. I would say if you don't know what to do on Facebook, this is a simple way to figure it out. Go to your Facebook feed, find someone, go look at your news feed, and look at someone who it seems like their post is always up there over and over again. The same post is still up there day after day after day. You know that they're paying money to boost that post. That's why it keeps showing up on the news feed. So message that person directly, because you already know them because they're on your news feed. Message that person directly and ask them, hey, I'm interested in Facebook ads. Who's your guy or girl who's helping you with your Facebook ads, or do you do it? And can you help me out with it or give me some tips on it? And they'll tell you, because #1, they already know you. So it's a warm market person. And #2, you're asking them about something that obviously is working for them. They wouldn't keep running that ad if it's not giving them an ROI. The ad does not appear over and over again unless it's working. So ask that person directly how they got that success with that ad, and they'll tell you.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. And those of you watching, if you're watching this on recording, you might want to rewind and listen to that again. That is wisdom, and that could put some money into your pocket, which is something we are definitely for profit at Freedom Fest. And for people getting out there and in a free society, free minds, free society, free enterprise, letting people get out there and work and achieve that and be good. Well, I want to jump over to another side that you talk about. I was really fascinated when I looked at your material, your site, and what you've been doing. And you have a thing called WOYG. Yes. WOYG stands for something real important. Work on your game. And I'd like to hear you describe a little bit of that is, and how can we work on our game best?
Well, work on your game is a philosophy that encompasses mental toughness, self-confidence, self-discipline, doing the things that you need to do to get to where you want to go in life. And all of that begins with you actually knowing where it is actually that you want to go. And work on your game came from back in 2008, 2009. I had been putting out some YouTube videos, not in the volume that I do today, but I was putting out videos, starting to build a little bit of a fan base. And some people would comment, and they would always ask me for tips and advice. Hey, can you give me some tips on how to dribble, some advice on how to make the basketball team, some tips on why nobody passes me the ball in the game? And the thing I said to them in this video was, listen, the reason why you're not getting the success that you want is the exact reason that the fact that you're watching this video. There's someone who at your school is going to take your spot on the basketball team this upcoming fall, because while you are here on YouTube or playing Xbox or watching TV or hanging on the corner, that guy or that girl is on the court practicing. That guy is in the gym lifting weights. That girl is out on the track running and getting in condition. So what you need to do is stop watching YouTube, stop watching my video, get off the video games, stop hanging with your friends, stop watching TV, and go work on your game. And the game that I refer to you don't have to be an athlete to work on your game. If you are a lawyer, you got to read and know what's happening in the law. If you're a tax attorney, you got to know the new tax codes. If you're a speaker, you got to update your topics so that you can reach the proper audience. Whatever it is that you do, if you're a teacher, you got to make sure you're able to reach these kids and speak the language that they're speaking. So you always everybody has a game. And if you don't update your game with the times and update your game with your audience, then the audience is going to pass you by and your competition is going to pass you by. Everyone has competition. Everyone has a game. So everyone has to always be working on their game.
Absolutely. That is incredibly important information, and I have to agree. I think one of the things I found in life is when I know I'm going to be going down at the moment that I sit back and go, hey, I'm pretty cool here. I've been doing well. Yeah, pat myself on the back. I've done well. Prop my feet up on the desk there, place my fingers behind my head. That's the very moment that things start going out. But when you're out there hustling, when you're out there going for it, a new challenge, ooh, I got to get better at that. Ooh, didn't do as well as I wanted. And you force yourself to get out there. It seems like that's where we do better. I think it's something about human nature. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think, of course, human beings, we all get comfortable. We get comfortable when things are going well. And then when things are going bad, we don't have anything to fall back on, because when things were going well, we were just relaxed and not doing the work. So the hardest thing is when you're getting the success and things are happening the way you want them to happen, you remember what led to the success. Not the fact that you're in the success, but what led to it was all the work you did. Basically, you reap what you sow. So if you don't sow any seeds, you're not going to reap any harvest.
Absolutely. I think it's like Dennis Waitley said it a while back. I thought it was really good. He says you need a goal that is within sight but out of reach. You know, something you say, hey, you're going to do it. I'm going to stretch for it. Like I often will tell people, you know, you can have all kinds of goals. And I really enjoyed playing basketball myself. I remember as a kid, I'd go out and shoot hoops and everything, but I'm not designed for basketball. You know, I'm a 5'7" guy, so I'm not out there doing a lot, not with it. And I realize, you know, I remember once I interviewed Magic Johnson. He has interviewed him with American Express when they introduced a card, and they asked me to be there. And he and I both grew up in Michigan.
Okay.
He was in Lansing. I was in the Jackson area. And I looked at him and I said, I remember growing up, there are guys like you. I saw him doing basketball. That's why I decided to get into computers instead, you know, because do that. But you find what you can do. Get into that. And even though Magic Johnson has done a great job at that, I decided not to go into the basketball. But you want to make sure that you keep your game up. And I like that, you know, work on your game. What you're saying, we've got to stay on top of it all the time. How do you do that, though, when you feel like it's that time of day or that day when you're going, yeah, I really don't want to, and your brain is giving you a lot of rationalizations. Yeah, you're a little too tired. Oh, that your knee might be hurting you, or whatever the nonsense comment is that's going in there. Your brain is telling you don't do it. How do you break through that and get out there and do the push-ups, the running, the shooting, the whatever it is you need to do to practice for you? How do you motivate yourself on that, Dre?
There's several different ways it can be done. It really depends on the makeup of the person. If you happen to be a very competitive individual, you can remember who else is out there working when you're not working. In basketball, they say every minute that you're not working on your game, there's somebody in the gym shooting jump shots, getting ready to take your spot. Mark Cuban of Shark Tank, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, he says, every day I wake up and I ask myself, if I wasn't me, how would I plot to kick my ass in business? How would I plot to take my spot in business? And I go out, Mark Cuban, this is Mark Cuban talking, I would go out every day and work to make sure that person can't do it. Let's work to make sure whatever holes I notice, make sure those holes get closed up. And overall, the number one way to make sure that you get over that hump, that third day, is kind of like I talk about in my first TED Talk, which is about the third day. The first day you join the gym, let's say, your first time there is new, you're feeling great, you got some new gym clothes, some new sneakers, you're excellent. The next day, okay, half of your body is sore because you worked out, but it's still new. You only been there 2 days, you got some new workout socks to wear, it feels good. But that third day, your whole body's sore. You don't want to hear the trainer anymore. You're tired of the smiling person at the front desk. You don't feel like going to the gym. Your body is not used to this. It's rejecting everything you're saying. Your mind and your body are having a difference of opinions. What are you going to do on that third day? Now, what you choose to do on that third day, whether you get up and go to the gym and work like you're supposed to, or you take the day off, it may not seem like a big thing that moment. In that moment, you're not going to gain 300 pounds if you don't, and you're not going to get a whole bunch of big muscles and 8-pack abs if you go. There's not going to be much visible difference on that day. But the mentality that led to that over the course of 3 months, 3 years, 10 years, there's going to be a huge difference that you can't even tell that these two people used to be the same person. So it's just a matter of, do you have the discipline to show up? And the number one thing that leads to that discipline is you having a compelling goal in the first place. If your goal is not compelling enough, meaning something that will drive you, number one, but also something that you actually believe you can reach, then you're not going to go for it.
Yep, exactly. Matter of fact, I noticed a comment coming in correlates to that. Evan Taxi said, almost all people want to love and money, yet no one wants to do the work to get what they want. You know, we always say, yeah, I want that. I want to have the money. I want to have this. But as Evan Taxi says, you're absolutely right. That's what we got to do. And by the way, those of you that are joining us live right now, if you would like to ask a question to Dre, come on board. You'll see that on the screen, you have that call in. You click on that, and then we can click to accept you and bring you in. It's one of the nice features that we have with Blab here, so you can directly come on the screen if you want to, whether your hair is combed or not. I don't care. Dre, is all right with you if we bring them on even if their hair is not combed?
Absolutely. I'll go have questions. My favorite thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you got some questions, bring those on. Well, let me ask you this. Usually when you look at someone who has done very well and successful, like yourself, Dre, there's been people that are there that have influenced you, maybe those that are alive, or we know a lot of times we can get influence from people who are almost our friends because we've read about them, and they could be living or dead. So who are some of the role models and the people that have helped you become who you are?
Well, number one, I would have to use my parents as an example for my discipline, the mental toughness, because my parents, I grew up in a middle class or maybe even lower middle class, I don't really know, family where we never had more than we needed, but we always had enough. My parents always made sure we have enough. My parents they got up and went to work every single day, rain, sleet, hail, snow. Now, I live in Miami now, but I grew up in Philadelphia where we get all 4 seasons. I've seen my parents get up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning before the sun came up every single day and go to work, even if they had to take public transportation all the time. And they never sat my sister and I down and said, hey, do you understand what we're doing here? Do you understand why we go to work every day? Do you understand where this food that's in the refrigerator is coming from? They never had that conversation with us. But once I became an adult, I didn't have to have that conversation with them to know it, because once I became an adult, the only thing I did is what I saw every single day when I was growing up. And they say with children, they may forget a lot of the things that you say, but they will always do what you do. So the number one role model I would have to say would be my parents, just their example. But other than that, I'll say the funny thing is, even though I'm an athlete, I don't look to a lot of athletes as, let's say mentors or people that I take leads from. Because the thing about being an athlete, and I'll even admit this about myself, my dad is 5 feet 9 inches tall. My mom is 5'7". I didn't do any work to become 6'4". That just happened. It's just something that came to me. I didn't work hard to get this. If I had been 5'9" or 5'10", who knows if I would be even on this Blab right now talking about what I'm talking about. So I look to people mainly in the hip hop industry because they had to come from zero. They didn't hit the genetic lottery like a LeBron James or a Michael Jordan or a Tracy McGrady or a Kobe Bryant. And yes, those people work hard. Yes, Michael Jordan is disciplined, confident, showing up every day. Michael Jordan had it all. But if Michael Jordan was the same height as his brother, who was like under 6 feet tall, I think the story is, who knows? Michael Jordan might not be Michael Jordan. So I look to people like Sean Combs, also known as Puff Daddy, 50 Cent, Jay-Z, Russell Simmons, those people, because they had to come from absolute zero and they had to build something out of actually nothing. Whereas a basketball player, at least you got something to work with. I had a 6'4" frame to work with. I had to develop some skills, but I had a frame to work with. If I had been 5'4", all that work might not have gotten me to the same place. Yeah,
you might have stayed in chess a lot longer, and done more with that, whatever. It's like you find the thing that you can do. And as I say, if I set goals, if I had a goal to be starting center for the Orlando Magic here in Orlando, not going to happen. I could get better. I could get trained. You do a lot of training with basketball. If I sit down and I said, I'm going to pay whatever it takes and I need you to show me how to get better, I can get better. But that doesn't mean that I'm a failure at everything. It just means, hey, maybe doing that one job is not for you, but there'll be others. And it seemed like the key to success, correct me if I'm wrong, or I'd be interested in what you think, is find that area that is right for you. You experiment, you try a bunch of different things, and that's good. But when you find that thing that you're in the groove, you just feel like this is for me, that's what you need to really hustle on. Get in there, learn what it is, beat your brain into submission. Do whatever you need to learn and learn fast as well. Read a lot, memorize, learn how to do that. And in physical, discipline yourself, get the training, get the coaching so that you're training your body in the right way. You can do it the wrong way. Even if you think you might be trying to do the right thing, get help from those that are professional. At least that's what I think. Dre, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree with that. You got to get around the people who are playing at a higher level than you're playing. I was actually just talking about this on Snapchat maybe about an hour or two ago. You got to get around those people, right? David Thorpe, he's a guy who trains NBA players or players who are on their way to the NBA. And he said many years ago in an article, the quickest way for a new player to get to the playing level of being in the NBA is to be around other guys who are already in the NBA and playing with them every single day, getting your ass kicked up and down that floor because you have no choice but to adjust to the way that they play. You have no choice but to adjust, or you're going to have to not stop showing up to the gym. And it's the same thing in anything. When you get around other people who are playing at a higher level than you, one or two things are going to happen. Either A, you are going to adjust and start keeping up with them at a level that you didn't even know you could get to, and you probably never would have gotten to if you didn't get around those people. Or B, you're going to say, you know what, I can never be like these people, and you'll quit. It's either A or
Absolutely. I agree with you completely. I remember a few years ago, actually it was right here in Orlando, before I lived in Orlando, we were having a meeting of the National Speakers Association annual convention. I was on the committee there working with the planning of it. And I remember my job, I'll put that in air quotes here, my job was to go to the airport and pick up one of the speakers who happened to be Tony Robbins. I picked up Tony Robbins at the airport, saw the people swamped around him, everyone wanting to get autographs, and he was just really gracious and kind all the way through. And then got in the limo with him. So here we are. We're just there in the limo. We're working with him. And then we got there. I thought, okay, I'll get him here to the hotel and he'll check in. That'll be good. But he goes, by the way, Terry, I got some questions. Would you mind coming up to the room and talking with me? And I thought, yeah, I think we could work that out. So I was there for like an hour and a half, just me and Tony Robbins in the room talking about things. And I remember him talking about something so important that relates to what you said. He said, so many people don't want to pay the price. They don't want to put in the time, and they're not willing to part with their capital to learn this. So if you want to hang around people that are really good, you've got to give them something. Now, it doesn't mean you give them money. Sometimes that's appropriate in business. That's good. But it might be you find out what they need and you help them get that. You got to get your own game up, work on your game, as you say, Dre, work on your game and get so good that now you have value to give to other people. And so that they know you, they see who you are, and they realize you can get value from them. Dre, that's what you have done. You've identified it. What was it that gave you the ideas and the motivation to pay the price that you have paid to learn? You have gone to school. You are constantly reading, constantly working out also. What is it that's driving you that helps you to get ahead?
Well, first I got to ask you a question. Before I even say that, I was Snapchatting is crazy. I'm Snapchatting the screen kind of while we're talking here. And I was just talking about that on Snapchat. I was just saying that sometimes you got to part with your money to get around those people. And it doesn't mean you got to make more money. It could be the same money that you're spending on things that are not helping you. Just redirect that money somewhere else and it can get you the things that you want. But the question I have for you is, what year was this that you were picking up Tony from the airport? Because I know he has.
It was 1992. It was a few years ago.
Okay, so this is before he got his own plane.
Yeah, he actually flew commercial. He flew commercial. It was a Delta flight coming in from Los Angeles. Okay. That's when he lived out in California. Now he lives in Florida, like you and I do, because we have much more reasonable state income tax here in Florida. 0. And for my Freedom Fest buddies, we know that 0 is a very reasonable form of taxation. Yeah,
that's the number we've all agreed to.
But yeah, it was really inspiring. Matter of fact, I'm going to share something with you I haven't shared before much at all. But while we were there in the hotel room, it was really interesting. You can often tell a lot about a person when they're under pressure, where something's kind of uncomfortable and you see how they react to it. And Tony and I were talking. We were talking about the planning. He wanted to ask me about the group and what he could do to tailor make his program even more for the group the next day. That's why he wanted me there. And the phone rang. So he picks up, hello, and no, it's not me. It's must be a wrong number. So, okay, thanks. Hung up. They called again after a few minutes, saying, hello, no, not okay. I hung up. Then a few moments later, somebody else called. And it was the same person, I think, called. And rather than getting upset, which would be kind of natural for people to say, hey, stop calling me or something like that, Tony Robbins just saying, hey, hope you have a good day. But no, this is not that person. And he hung up. And I realized he was gracious even under fire. Even under pressure when things get rough. I mean, at that moment, I realized this guy's good. And he had no reason to try to impress me. And it was just doing that. But I thought that's important. I find, and I'd be interested in your comments on this, you find out a lot about a person when they're under pressure or they owe you money or there's something that's going not the way it should. Often you find the true mettle and the true character of a person, I think. What do you think about that, Dre?
Absolutely. I mean, we've all had those challenges. I'm sure you've had plenty of those challenges. I have plenty of those challenges. And those are the moments. Those are the pivotal moments when a person becomes what they're going to become. Those are those moments where you can go left or you can go right. And it just matters how you respond to those challenges, whatever they happen to be. And the higher your ambitions in life, the more of those challenges you will face. So you will get more chances to test your mettle. That is, the higher your goal is, whatever it happens to be.
Very good. Well, and those of you that are joining us, you're watching Freedom Fest TV, talking about the event Freedom Fest, which is coming up in July 2016 as we're recording this, or it's a few days before that. So you still have a chance to get in there if you haven't, and you definitely want to follow that. Look at freedomfest.com and just click on that tab of speakers and notice the speakers who are going to be there, including Dre Baldwin, who's our guest today. And this will be an intellectual feast for you. You want to be there because you're going to learn a lot. But also, think about this. Dre, by the way, are you going to be there for the full event at Freedom Fest?
Yes, I will. I think I might miss a little bit of the first day, but I'll be there for the rest.
Excellent. Think about this. Those of you who are watching, you got a chance to meet somebody like Dre. Walk up, shake his hand, talk with him a little bit. And remember, don't just say, hi, do something nice for me, or do this for me. Find out a way that you can help him. How are you going to find out what he needs help with? Go to his website. Go to where he is on social media, as many places, and find out what you can do that's going to be helpful to him and to others. As you see other speakers there, find out what you can do to help them out. That will be real important. And of course, we do have the availability right now in the few minutes that we're still here. If you have a question and you wanted to talk to Dre, you're welcome to come on board. We've got the technology for that with Blab. You just click on that call in button. We click again to get you on there, and you're on screen. And as we're waiting for that, and before we close down, I want to go back to YouTube. You said that YouTube is your #1 channel, and you got, what is it, over 5,000 videos?
Yes, over 5,000.
Yeah, over 5,000. That's a lot. That is a lot of videos. If it's not, I don't know of any one that has more than that. There might be someone out there. I don't know, but that's a lot of videos. What could you give us maybe just a short capsule of some tips and tricks for someone who has worked with YouTube a lot? Suppose you were sitting down for coffee with someone. They were advanced level use of YouTube. What would you tell them that you've discovered recently that helps you in your YouTube work that they might not know?
Someone who's already advanced at YouTube that could help them.
Yeah, they've been using it for a few years. They know a lot. What would you find is something that's helped you the most, or something that you've seen relatively new that you discovered? Or maybe it's an old trait, that the old Vince Lombardi thing of, going back to the basics. Always go back to the basics. What would you give to that person sitting there at coffee with you about YouTube, who already knows quite a bit about it?
Well, that's a challenging question, because I would need to know a little bit about what they're doing, what they have going on, and what their areas of improvement or what they want to get moving forward from YouTube would be. But one thing that I would say is talk about events that have recently happened. I did a review of every game of the NBA Finals, me personally, on YouTube, and people really love that. After every game, I just recorded a video, put it up the next day. People were looking forward to it. People were really engaging with it because they got to talk about this one event that everybody was watching, everybody was talking about. So they heard my opinion, and they got to share their own opinions in the comments. So that's one thing I would say. And also just keep an eye out on what YouTube is doing to keep up with the way things are going, because I know YouTube is looking to get into the live streaming game very soon. They actually have a live streaming option right now, but there's a lot of back end stuff, coding stuff that I don't even understand, which is why I never do live streaming on YouTube. But they are looking to get into the simple, basic live streaming, similar to the way Periscope or Blab is. So I say just stay abreast of what's going on, and then figure out what exactly are your challenges right now. And then they can come back to me, tell me their challenges, and we can talk about that.
Yeah, very good. Well, we're talking about live streaming, and we're talking about getting out and reaching people. One of the things that I was really excited about when it came out initially, and I've used it quite a bit, I'm sure you have, is Google Hangouts. What are your thoughts on Google Hangouts, and what would you advise for people that either haven't used it or have used it a little bit?
Google Hangouts I like because is basically a live streaming platform. If you want to do webinars, Google Hangouts is somewhere that a lot of people use for webinars, at least a live webinar where they're actually interacting with the audience as opposed to a recorded webinar. And Google Hangouts is also cool for just having a video call with somebody. I know a lot of people like to use Skype, or even you can use Blab now, but Google Hangouts is another option for that. Overall, I'm not a huge fan of Google+. I'm not a huge Google+ fan. I feel like it kind of muddied up the whole YouTube, Gmail, Google system, but they integrated it so much into everything that they couldn't go back once they realized that the product was unideal. I think they were trying to compete with Facebook, and I don't know if it was still MySpace back then when they did that, and Twitter, but it just didn't work, at least not for me. I know there's some people who love Google+. I'm not one of those people. But Google Hangouts, to answer your question, is a good thing for live streaming, such as like a live webinar.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the Webinar Jam Studio option that tacks onto Google Plus Hangouts?
I'm not.
Oh, it's a little tool that I've used. Gina and I have worked with it and have had good success with it. It seems to clean up some of the things and add the other elements that we would really like to see in Google Hangouts. It's right there. It's Webinar Jam Studio. And I found it to be a nice little add-on in there. What I'm looking for is something that can do the kind of things we can do with Webinar Jam Studio, like, for instance, capturing email addresses, doing polling both before and during the event, being able to bring people on the screen like we do here with Blab. It does that very well. And of course, it then goes out live on YouTube. So you've got it on YouTube as you're giving it on Google Hangouts because, well, they're all the same. It has not done as much. I don't think Google has put as much into it as they could have because they definitely have the resources. But I would like to see something like that. And I think the ideal right now, matter of fact, those of you watching this and listening to it, I think there's going to be some money made, serious money, if someone can come up with a way to clamp on top of Facebook Live, and they can have something that collects email addresses, that gives you the ability to do polling, gives you the ability to bring in people as guests, lets you bring more than one person on the screen. 4 people at a time is fine. Something like that coming on the screen, I think that could be a real moneymaker. At least that's what I'm thinking. Somebody will probably take that run out, and if you make millions with it, then the next time we get together, the first round of drinks is on you if we do that. But Dre, what do you think about that idea?
Yeah, definitely. I think Facebook is probably working on that right now, YouTube as well. I think they need to figure out a way that they can get in on the action at the same time. I think that's the only thing stopping them from just making it available. I think they can make that available right now because we already have our email clients. They can easily make those integratable. I don't think that would take them more than an hour of work with one of their top of the line coders. So I think it's just a matter of them figuring out how they can get themselves in on the action at the same time is the key.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Dre, you are a wealth of information, just a wonderful guy, and I'm looking forward to meeting you physically when we get out to Las Vegas. Let's make sure we make that connection there. That will be real good. But before we conclude, I want to see if Gina Carr has any closing announcements. Our producer here on Freedom Fest TV. She's a person that's the engineer in the background and a literal engineer, as I like to describe her. She is an engineer from Georgia Tech, #1 school in the world in industrial management. That's her degree. She did very well there. And matter of fact, from Atlanta, I went to Georgia State, got my MBA there at Georgia State in Atlanta. And but even though Gina's from Atlanta, not everybody can get into Georgia State. She did not go to Georgia State. She had to settle for another little school farther up north. It was not even really a public school, a little private school called was it Harvard? Yeah, she had to get her MBA from Harvard. So not everybody can get into Georgia State, but that's okay. I'm still glad to have her, and she's my partner in business and in life. But Gina, having said that, any comments from you, because you know a thing or two about social media?
Oh boy, well, I've just really enjoyed this conversation. It's been fantastic. Some great tips. You guys are definitely very like-minded and have a lot of similar interests and such. And yeah, hearing all the book talk is getting me really going there. You can see I like a few books in the background too. I don't read as much as you, Terry, but I know you love those books, and Dre, you've got them down too. So it's fantastic. And I cannot wait to meet you in person, in real life at Freedom Fest. And that's one of the things I like so much about Freedom Fest is that even professional athletes, even the speakers, elected officials, will have Senator Rand Paul there, Senator Ben Sasse, Judge Andrew Napolitano, all kinds of people that you normally would not be rubbing elbows with in real life that will be there just walking around at Freedom Fest, and they'll be on the stage speaking, but they'll also be there signing books and having their pictures taken. And you really do get to mix and mingle with a lot of people that are just incredible thought leaders in many areas, not just politics or economics, which is what Freedom Fest is sort of most known for. But here, Dre is talking about leadership and discipline. We have people who talk about health and eating right and the ethics of veganism and police reform and legalizing drugs. And I mean, it's just, as Terry calls it, an intellectual buffet. So it's going to be absolutely incredible. I just wish I could clone myself for it so that I could go to all the events and all the films, and that would be fantastic. Terry, you've been going for many years. What is it you love so much about Freedom Fest?
Well, I think it's the combination. The intellectual feast that is there is wonderful. It's like really going to a university. You know, don't go to Freedom Fest expecting to sleep a lot. I mean, that's not where you want to go to sleep. There's a time to do that. This is not that time. This is where you want to go and just suck in all the information you can in your brain. Let your brain be like an information vacuum cleaner. You can just suck it in there. The way to do it. And also the people you're going to meet. Because there's some incredible people, not just those on the stage. Yeah, they're great. But just looking around, you'll see people that are casually dressed. And little did you know that person is a self-made multimillionaire. This person over here is an exquisite expert in their field. But you got to go up and get a chance to talk to them. So those of you that are going to be at Freedom Fest, you've already registered. You're going to be there. Make it a point to stretch yourself. I'm giving you a challenge. I want you to stretch yourself, stretch your brain, stretch your ability, your networking skills. Get out there and strengthen that hustle muscle that you got. You got to get out there and hustle, be in there with people, rest when you need to. Yeah, that's very important. Get the food you need, the drinks, all that. Make sure you're doing it right. But be there and really push yourself for it. I think you'll be better off for it.
Well, terrific. And it'll be Dre's first time there. So he'll be a he's a Freedom Fest virgin right now, but he'll be well acclimated and taken good care of. If you haven't already registered, there's still time. There's still a few seats left. You can go to freedomfest.com. And if you use the code FFTV for Freedom Fest TV, all caps, you get $100 off registration. And there's a lot of special events, and many of those are selling out. Today is actually the last day to get the discount on the hotel, the block of hotel rooms. The discount's expiring. And if you want a roommate, we can hook you up with a roommate after you've registered. You have access to a list we have, so you can actually check that out and get a roommate. So you can save a little money there if you need to. And there's student rates. So we just hope that you'll come, join us, meet Dre in person, meet Terry in person. He's going to be the MC running the show from the front stage. And just look forward to seeing everyone there.
Excellent. Gina, thank you very much for your help for doing that wonderful engineering work and taking care of everything behind the scenes. And Dre, before we let you go, any final words, thing you want to say to the people that are watching this live, those that are going to be joining us recording? The floor is yours, sir.
So all the people who are watching this live, if you have an opportunity to be at Freedom Fest, make sure you get yourself to Freedom Fest. It's at Planet Hollywood, right? Planet Hollywood, Las Vegas. Yes. It is going to be a huge event. Go look at the website, see the people who will be speaking there, even if they're people you haven't heard of. If you like this conversation that we're having right now, imagine if there were, 100 or so people speaking on different topics with the same level of information and this kind of conversation going on back and forth for 4 whole days, and is in Las Vegas at the same time. I mean, what more can you ask for? Come to Freedom Fest. Bring your notepad, bring your phone, bring a charger for your phone, because you know it's going to die during the day, taking pictures and Snapchatting. Be there, soak it in, get all this information, and then with everything that you learn, go back home and work on your game.
Excellent. Dre Baldwin, an honor to have you here, sir. We really appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you at Freedom Fest. And for those of you joining us, thank you for joining us, for taking your time, the most valuable resource, taking your time to be here, to listen to what we have to say. We want to hear from you. You have been kind enough, many of you, to leave comments. We really appreciate that. And if you want to follow up later, you've got our contact information. I'm Terry Brock with terrybrock.com. Freedomfest.com is where you can find the information you want. You got to just remember one site, freedomfest as one word.com, and you'll get all that information there. So on behalf of the entire Freedom Fest team, thank you for being with us, and we look forward to seeing you at Freedom Fest very soon. And go out there and make it a great day.